Welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is the second game between Bonyth and Dewalt, part of Fighting Spirit Mania. Bottom left-hand corner we got Dewalt starting as the green Protoss. Bottom right-hand corner we got Bonyth starting as the peach Protoss. Map is Fighting Spirit. We've had an update to OBS in between this period of time. Looks like there was a brief pause there. We had an update to OBS, and I've had also a change on my mic driver, so let me know if the microphone audio sounds okay in YouTube land and also in Twitch land. Now, I say that, but also make sure it's not just your device's audio, because sometimes I'll say this and it's kind of like one of those psychological subconscious things where people are like, oh, now I noticed this or that about the mic, and so sometimes I can get false positives in that regard. But I figured out some aspect of it. Otherwise, yeah, let me know. And even better, if you're a sound engineer and want to give some tips, that would also be helpful. Bonyth looks like he's setting up for, I believe he's setting up for a double gate attack here, because he's got this pylon very, very close to the ramp. Dewalt's a little bit staggered behind. We'll see if that proves to be true. I also wonder, this is again a curiosity down the line, where I'm wondering if there is a way to do this with one gate and then have a shield battery up where it would allow you a little bit better defense against early zealots somehow. But I'm not sure how that would exactly look, and I have a feeling it would be a disadvantage. I should ask some high-level Protoss players about that. I'm wondering if it would be a disadvantage as far as the follow-up, because if you end up going against a 3-gate, all of a sudden a lot of your tech's in range from Dragoons that can spot the high ground, right? And can shoot at it, so if you're holding with Zealots or something. Anyway, Bonyth going for a mid-map scout. We've got double gateways dropped from Dewalt at kind of a staggered configuration. We got double gateways dropped for Bonyth, and despite this being, so what are we in? We're in the 5th set. Finally in game 2, and this is the first time we're seeing double 2-gate openers on both ends, which is a little bit nuts given just the sheer volume of games up to this stage. Granted, Bonyth tends to be more of the 2-gate opener in comparison to Dewalt, but both these players, 2-gate open, what am I saying? They're both capable of executing this rather well. It looks like Bonyth's going to end up with the earlier scout, and unfortunately the direction of this probe, depending on the timing of it, might give Dewalt a false flag as far as direction with this initial zealot. This zealot's going to be able to at least blockade the ramp. Let's see if Dewalt makes his way to the top left-hand corner here first. So the probe makes its way in. He knows he already knew that he wasn't at cross position. And Dewalt is going to head south, it looks like, to the bottom right. And is he already dropping? He's dropping a pylon underneath this, so I think this is going to be a heavier dedication of zealots from Dewalt. In the meantime, Bonyth has, interestingly enough, because he saw that defensive zealot on the front, even though he's produced the initial 3 zealots, and he's going to reveal that he produced the initial 3 zealots, because Dewalt's going to be able to sneak up, so he's going to see all 3. So now he knows it's 2-gate versus 2-gate, and Bonyth immediately gets that information as well. Now here's the thing though, Dewalt knows that Bonyth prefers transitioning into Assimilator after this, and the Assimilator looks like it got placed as well for Dewalt, but I'm wondering with the timing of that if he ended up with a slight bit of an advantage, because I think that first pylon went down first. Don't quote me on that because missed it, but we'll see how the initial zealot micro works out. You can see Bonyth or Dewalt looking to go ahead and create some chaos. Yeah, it's 4. Is this right? 3 zealots and a probe out on the front from Dewalt. Dewalt testing the front, and the probe going to sneak back out to try to get some scouting information, specifically to confirm. We've got 2 more zealots on one end. We got 2 Dragoons building for Bonyth. And if Bonyth can hold, that will be a big advantage through the long haul. So now Dewalt starting to test the front. 2 more zealots holding the ramp, going to make their way back out. Bonyth is seeing that there's 2 additional units, and he's going to go, and yeah, definitely an advantage for him. Cybernetic score up on the other end. So right now, and interestingly enough, a pylon block. Wow. A pylon block on top of it here for Bonyth to make sure that natural expansion wouldn't get capped from Dewalt. So I think with that actually seals this advantage. Those Dragoons and those Zealots, actually one Zealot might want to stay behind. Part of the chaos of this is, and this is actually a problem I think for Dewalt is moving back with all of his Zealots, and he's now revealed that all of these Zealots are here. So now he's got 5 Zealots, but the Zealots do not range the Dragoons, so might be able to get some free damage. 2 Dragoons making their way out with the timing of it, and Dewalt making his way out with what he's got. Probe has been hit on the opposite end. This probe going to make its way back out, and Dewalt going to hold short with this. He's down, interestingly enough, between the timing of that. Ooh, missed the initial shot, but the Zealot the close range Zealot going to force Bonyth back. He's going to end up eating a little bit of free fire, but nothing base damage. So a little bit of a macro aggression both sides. Looks like it was 2-gate into robotics facility on both ends here. Dewalt somehow a probe up despite losing a probe in the midst of that. Range also upgrading. So as things stand, we got 3 Dragoons, one with a bit of shredded shield versus 4 Dragoons opposite end. 1 Dragoon got skipped in the middle of that, and we're going to have an earlier shuttle as a result of that. In between, Observatory is being built first. Range upgrading just about at the same moment for both players. And supply counts even neither player, so 1 base lock on both sides. A little bit of a larger Zealot grouping for Dewalt, which he's not been able to, which is usually kind of, especially at this stage when the Dragoons are starting to take over, a bit more of a detriment than anything. I'll be interested to see if he has a method to fold this back into an advantage somehow, but maybe if he scoops up these Zealots right now, looks like he's going to do exactly that. That's cute. So he's going to scoop up the 2 Zealot difference and ferry them out and drop them in the main, since he knows they're potentially a liability anyway, and he might get a probe or 2 as a result of that. So it's going to be, and the timing of the Observer is going to be a bit later. The Worker not able to confirm the natural expansion. He's tempting those Dragoons forward and out of position to deal with these Zealots as well. And does Bonyth see it? So never mind, Dewalt moves in. He doesn't drop the 2 Zealots, interestingly enough. So is dropping them here at the 6 o'clock location instead. I'm wondering what spooked in there, because I feel like dropping those 2 Zealots still might have, maybe he just wanted to make sure he had them part of that concentrated army. And I don't feel like he was able, maybe he saw the shimmer. I don't know that he was able to confirm whether there was a natural expansion or not, but now filtering more troops up. He's got his Reaver back. Maybe it was the timing. He wanted to make sure he had his Reaver with his army, recognizing that it was potentially a opposite side robotics play as well. Slight edge, but again, keep in mind that's a 4 Zealot difference, so those Zealots have to be useful in these fights, and we'll see if that ends up being the case, particularly with this Reaver in between. Reaver getting an initial shot, but a dud. Turnaround shot from Dewalt, not a dud. And the Reaver's moving to the front, and then another Zealot peeled off. 9 supply lead for Dewalt. Try to look at the Dragoon count. Looks like one of them heavily damaged. But we got 7 on one side and a full health on the opposite side. Both players turning around and going to go ahead and drop their Nexus, respectively, and back out. And this time, Bonyth starting to make his way out, putting that forward pylon here at the 6 o'clock location. Once again, Dewalt actually supply blocked himself right this second. Ooh, and that's a costly supply block where he did have a supply lead. This is, well, nothing's queued up yet, so he's actually still got some timing in between here. So I don't want to say that's a supply block yet. Maybe a probe not getting built, but he can use this timing to go ahead and drop some additional tech potentially. But I still want to point out that, yeah, it was 73 for quite some time, and yeah, we see an even troop count, and Bonyth actually had 2 workers in the space of that in the meantime. Bonyth moving the Observer out, which he has the informational advantage, a single probe making its way out, but Bonyth being very diligent with the, first of all, psychological timing of everything, making sure he has forward troops to go ahead and make sure that they're not getting any information out of that. A shuttle waiting near this location with that Observer is going to see all of those troops moving out, so this is going to be a potentially devastating game-shifting attack for Bonyth should he cycle those troops forward. 6 o'clock pylon looks like it's going to get wiped out. Probes making their way to the natural. I think that's the timing Bonyth wanted to wait for. Bonyth with the brilliant timing. Now the shuttle revealed itself. Instant reaction for Dewalt. Maybe he was just looking at that corner of the map at the 6 o'clock, and now that he's recognizing that shuttle's out of position, is starting to make his way forward. Does he have his shuttle in tow? Yeah, he's got 2 Reavers and the shuttle in tow, and he's saying, okay, I know if your shuttle and your Reavers across the map, you don't have a shuttle and Reaver on your side, so potentially I'll have that Reaver advantage. Engaging some units to the south, the 2 Reavers engaging that north, the Reaver instantly taken out, and the Dragoons under heavy fire at the natural expansion. 2-pronged attack, Bonyth losing all sorts of troops. Did he drop? He must have lost that shuttle in between, or did he drop back? He drew the shuttle all the way back. Now he's got a shuttle Reaver advantage here at the natural, but he's got a massive supply differential. Looks like that Reaver and shuttle are going to survive. So Bonyth holds, somehow holds and defends, and for a minute there, it looked like there was this massive deficit, maybe because of just the troops that were queued up in the gateways, but by Bonyth retreating with that Reaver last second, comes in, defends that last speck of troops, and we had a complete reset both directions, and the macro now kicking in for Dewalt. You already had, it looks like we had the 3 gateways in between. We're going up to 6 gateways earlier for Bonyth, so he's going to be able to produce more and more rapidly. And in theory, in about 2 minutes, because we're not going to have an attack for a minute, never mind, where I thought we were going to have a held position for a little bit of time. Instead, Dewalt continuing with the aggression. The Observer's going to walk in, going to see a lack of armies, also going to notice that there's a lack of gateways. The Observer's, actually 2 Observers very nearby here for Dewalt. Looks like he's trying to find it. This is going to be a big boon for Bonyth as well, because he's going to recognize, first of all, the situation where if he just shells up and defends, he's going to end up with an advantage in the short term. Right now, a 10 supply deficit, however. The Dragoon count cost. Some pylons being created to just blockade that front and make it a little bit harder to get the concentrated fire out. Dewalt moving the troops in. That Reaver slowly walking in the background, getting some big splash shots on those Dragoons. But Dewalt's Reaver here in the back end as well. And we have a flurry both directions. And it looks like Bonyth is in fact going to hold. Ooh. As I say that, Dewalt continuing to commit here to this attack. Yeah, but it looks like Bonyth does have enough to go ahead and send these troops back. Now that 6 gateways worth of production going to kick back in. And the Reaver held, and now Dewalt in, well, we'll see if it turns into a spot of trouble. But you can see that macro count starting to refill fairly rapidly behind this. So, 5 gateways versus 6 in the short term. A forge drop, no continuation tech for Dewalt. He does have a few additional workers, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the additional supply in between. If you don't have the additional production facilities in between, you aren't really filling anything in as far as tech. And in the meantime, Bonyth finding some room to go ahead and drop his Citadel of Adun. Dewalt looking to re-engage as well towards the natural expansion. Reaver floating outside towards the natural. This is a 1 Reaver advantage. Gonna peck away at these pylons. Bonyth does have a lot of pylons down to fill this in, so he's not going to feel it. These are mostly defensive pylons out on the front. Not able to get a... Ooh, 1 Reaver takes a hit there on Dewalt's side of the map. It is 1 Reaver versus 2, keep in mind. And the Dragoon's still taking some hits. Somehow, Dewalt still up as far as even tech, despite being down a gateway for a considerable period of time, maybe because of the Citadel of Adun and the leg upgrade in between this. Dewalt moving the Reavers out to try to pull Bonyth out of position. He does not have shuttle speed yet, and has a large filing of Dragoons outside the natural, but now Bonyth is caught up in supply. He's actually ahead as far as raw army supply because he's paused on worker production, 35 versus 32 right here, and the Dragoons moving in, taking a big splash, so this is starting to eke away, and looks like Bonyth is going to end up with a massive advantage. So this is a bit deceptive as far as supply counts, because if you deduct the workers here, and you look at the even count otherwise, that means Bonyth actually has a superior army on the ground. He's also ending up with a tech advantage, dropping the Templar archives in between. So kind of a clever pause, recognizing that it was going to... And I like that play from Bonyth, recognizing that it was going to be a longer period of time when they were on 2 bases rather than 3. So pausing the worker production to go ahead and get the tech advantage, to have the continuation advantage as far as tech. Citadel of Adun and the 6th gateway coming out much, much later now for Dewalt. But I think Bonyth, through some nice macro choices, add an advantage here. That's not to say the game's over yet. Maybe with some brilliant micro, Dewalt can sneak back into this, particularly if he can pick off those Reavers. Going to lose the Dragoon, though, for free after tapping on that pylon near the front here. And Bonyth starting to cycle out. And this is one of those matches where I'm wondering if they had the reset, the pause, and the regathering for this particular set. The Zealots with leg speed able to close the gap. These are slow Zealots still on Dewalt's side of the map, trying to re-engage. Unfortunately, the Zealots running headlong into some Reaver shots, so that's peeling out their troop count fairly rapidly. But now Bonyth, recognizing he has a troop advantage, is able to isolate the Reavers in the shuttle along that left-hand flank, and I think this might be the game-winning maneuver for Bonyth. There is 1 Reaver. I don't even know where this Reaver came from. To the south, it looks like it slow walked from the natural. It's getting smothered. We have 2 Reavers with, well, the shuttle's still there. Bonyth not really microing it, and because he's a bit slow to micro it, he's going to reinforce with Zealots and might end up what could have been a winning turn right here. Maybe turning into another army reset both directions. And Bonyth Might have a fortune shift right here. Reavers hitting Reavers, but Dewalt backing up. And Dewalt re-macroing behind that to go ahead and equalize things. And this is going to give Dewalt time to go ahead and restabilize, although the main almost mined out. The superior troop count in the upcoming minutes is going to be decisive, because this is the moments where we're going to determine, and we look at this upgrade Scarab damage. I don't know that that's going to be in time for Bonyth, will be the next question. This could be a big upgrade win. This, or maybe even some Dark Templar out in the field. He does have the Templar Archives option. Looks like some High Templar being fielded. I might have missed the Psystorm upgrade in the midst of this. And Bonyth actually cycling out to go ahead and grab his 3 o'clock. But basically, the larger troop count and the superior positioning opens up the possibility to being able to hold the third base as the main is starting to mine out on both ends. And that will shoot production, and I think that's going to give the advantage to Bonyth overall, because when that's the case, you need units that hit harder, which means the higher tier units tend to have that advantage. So if you have Psystorm, if you have Reavers, if you have Dark Templar, it can be an advantage here. It looks like we do have a Dark Templar being built by Dewalt, by the way. Observer floating at the 9 o'clock base. Nothing spotting the 3 o'clock yet for Dewalt. And Dewalt going to eke out 2 additional Reavers in the midst of this. But we got 3 big Archons out on the front here for Bonyth. I do not believe as a result that he upgraded Psystorm. No +1 weapons in the midst of this. I don't think there was a weapon upgrade. Oh, never mind. +1 weapons is out there from Dewalt, so that's another slight advantage. So both troops moving out, and we'll see. It's going to come down to some micromanagement and also observer discipline here, because if that observer gets picked off on Bonyth and that 1 Dark Templar is going to rain, Nexus dropped. Dewalt's going to need to cancel that one. Dark Templar immediately getting picked off. Quick cancellation. And now Bonyth starting to look at a good advantage. Dewalt moving out because he has to address this army. Is going to end up with some Reavers, but instead of focusing that Zealot line along that right, is going to get swarmed immediately. The shuttle not scooping the Reavers up, so the Reavers going to get taken out pretty rapidly, and they might have been helpful against that left-hand flank of Archons. Never mind, there's some Archons opposite side by Dewalt that I missed, but Dewalt recognizes that army wasn't going to last, that Bonyth was going to get that 3 o'clock up because he had the inferior army, ends up dropping the match. And what an incredible match this was here, where really the game-winning maneuver was Bonyth recognizing the long-term situation, staying at the lower worker count, and producing a larger troop count in between. So he ending up in a spot where he just had a larger army when it counted, so he can go ahead and have map control and take that 3 o'clock base Nexus to close it out. Great play. Wonderful game 2 of this series. This set is now tied up 1-1. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.